warning to users about this edition of Beardy History, I am discussing slavery, and I will be sharing with you real newspapers from the southern states from the slavery era, and I will be quoting from those newspapers to show just how shocking slavery was in real life. However, some of the language that is used in those newspapers from the 1830s, 1840s, you may find offensive, and I wish to flag that up now. Behind me is a Black Lives Matter protest going on right now outside the headquarters of the UK Police, New Scotland Yard, and it's a reminder in my own home city of London how race and issues around race have really come to the fore in recent months, particularly during the COVID crisis and of course after a string of incidents, particularly in the United States. To understand why the issue of race is still so toxic in the United States, we need to look at the history of slavery in the 19th century, and I have some primary source material that sheds light on that terrible period. So I have a collection of very old newspapers in my library here, and this is the Charleston Courier from Thursday morning, September 25th, 1834. And what's really shocking in this paper, and there's classified adverts from local people in Charleston in the paper, but when you get inside here, underneath notices for houses to rent, piano lessons, requests for waiters and so on, you get here a notice, for example, Negroes wanted. Cash will be paid for likely Negroes of both sexes from the ages of 10 to 20. And that's in this column here. When you get into the next column, and you have to excuse these numbers that are all over the paper. This is markings that were made by the paper to indicate how long adverts were going to run. But what you have here then are classified ads for runaways, people saying they want their slaves back. So here we have a black boy named Jeffrey, he's about 5 feet 6 or 8 inches high, about 20, stoutly built, of pretty black complexion, and he's run away, and there's a reward for getting him back. There's another one here, a picture of a woman, a Negro woman named Nanny or Nancy, formerly belonging to Mrs. Hislop, and she's run away, and a reward will be paid there. $50 for another runaway called Ben, 22 to 23. And they go on, so this is clearly something that was quite common, and the request is normally to either return them to the owner or to return them to the local jailhouse. And then about 7 years later, I have a copy here of the Richmond Inquirer from February 1840, and it's a similar kind of picture in this Southern States paper. So this is something that would have been read by the, by posh society in Richmond. And then on the back, yet again, there are notices for slaves who have escaped and requests to get them back. And what's really shocking about newspapers like these from the 1830s and the 1840s for us in the United Kingdom, in England, is that even though Britain was the former colonial power in America, by the 1830s and 1840s, it had actually abolished slavery. And the reason for that was a very intrepid group of English gentlemen in South London, in Clapham, who campaigned successfully to abolish slavery in the very early 19th century. And this group of gentlemen were known as the Clapham sect, and one of their most illustrious members was William Wilberforce, and they abolished slavery in the UK 50 years before the United States. So let's find out a bit more about them. It's hard to believe that in these very idyllic houses behind me here, in a wealthy South London suburb, a group of gentlemen set about plotting the end of the slave trade. The Clapham sect were well-off gentlemen, essentially, and they lived in houses like these, like this house you can see behind me here. And this house, by the way, was later owned by the novelist, the 20th century novelist, Graham Greene. This church behind me here was the base of operations, if you want, of the Clapham sect, or Clapham Saints as they were also known, which also included Mr. Wilberforce, and they were determined to abolish slavery and to improve conditions as well in British prisons. I mean, it's incredible and depressing to think that Wilberforce and his friends, the Clapham sect or Clapham Saints, were talking about and campaigning for the abolition of slavery in the late 1700s, and it would take until the 1860s for slavery to be abolished in America. So it really shows the forward-thinking nature of the Clapham sect, which included the legendary, the amazing William Wilberforce.